Hey, man.
Happy to be here. Welcome to an episode where we're not going to do any bits. Tim's going to tell the story, and I'm not going to say anything. Go ahead, Tim.
All right. Have you ever heard of Billy Beane?
What do you want to say about William Beane?
First name Billy, last name Beane. You don't got anything to say about Billy Beane? You don't got any jokes to make about that name? You're just gonna let that name lie? You're just gonna be okay with the fact that this guy's birth name is Billy Beane?
I need you guys to understand. I need you to see right now. I'm done being gaslit on this podcast. I'm not doing any bits right now. Why'd you say it like that? Hey, we've been bad for a long time. Would you come make us good? I promise we're worth it. Things I learned last night. Who's wasting your time?
Okay, fine. Billy Beane, born March 29, 1962, to Orlando, Florida. I need you to engage with these jokes. I need you to be here with me.
I'm here with you. They're just not funny. You just went, Billy Beane? Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? You guys think it's really funny? I'm going to do an episode about a guy named Billy Beane.
It is funny.
Billy Beane. Didn't even say it funny. You just went, Billy Beane. Say it with a funny voice. Try it with a funny voice. Try it. We'll start over. Ready? Try it with a funny voice.
I'm not gonna do
No, I'll laugh. I'll laugh. No, do it.
No, you're not gonna laugh. You're not gonna laugh at it. You're gonna do the exact same thing you did when I said it normally. Billy Beane. See, I knew you were gonna do it.
Turns out it wasn't funny. So Billy Beane, born in Orlando, Florida.
Born to Orlando, Florida.
Is his dad's name Orlando, Florida?
No, I just like the idea of that.
Okay, so he's born
to Orlando, Florida.
In 1962.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. What did William Beane do?
So Billy Beane, he was a born and raised baseball player. He loved baseball. And all throughout his youth.
William Garbanzo.
Okay.
He tried not to. He tried to hold it in, but it came out.
So he played baseball.
Okay.
His dad was in the Navy, though, and so he did not.
Though, sure.
Hey, there's a point. There's a reason.
His dad was in the Navy, though. Okay. He played baseball, though his dad was in the Navy. Makes sense.
There's a reason why I said though. So he didn't get to play with one team for a long time in his youth. His dad taught him how to pitch. They moved around a lot. Finally, in high school, he ends up in San Diego, Navy Town. That's what they call it, right? San Diego, Navy Town, where he starts playing
I think
baseball.
San Diego's more known for the Marine base there. Pendleton?
I thought isn't that a Navy base?
It's a Marine base.
Really?
Yep.
I thought that was a Navy base. Are you serious?
Yep. There might be a Navy base there.
That's the one like right on the shore, right?
Pendleton, yep. Marine.
On Coronado?
I know, because I was in the Marine.
No, that's a naval base.
That's a Marine base.
No, I'm looking at it right now. It's a Navy base. Right here, naval base on Coronado.
It's the Naval Amphibious Base. I'm talking about Camp Pendleton. Marine Corps Base. Yeah.
It's got both.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, I need you to listen. I need somebody to reach out to me in my DMs. Send me a message. Tell me that I'm not crazy. I didn't say they didn't have a Navy base. I said I think they're more known for Camp Pendleton. And then you went, yeah, that's a Navy base. And then you Googled it. It wasn't. And you were like, yes, it is on Coronado. Like, that's not Camp Pendleton, what I said. So I just send me an email. My email is tim@TILLN.com. and just send me an email very detailed about how I'm not an insane person.
And just say how much you hate that other guy on this podcast.
Every day, man. Our phone calls, our podcast. Every morning I wake up to an audio message that says, "Hey, good morning, you small little man. Nothing you think is
good
correct."
Morning the other day.
You sent me an audio message. You said, you sounded tired and you were like, "Hey, good morning, man. Hey, I just want you to know that nothing you think or say is ever right and that every thought you have is wrong. And I just want you to second guess yourself all along the way. All right, anyway, Billy Beane, see you later."
Billy Beane, see you later.
That's how you make it funny, Tim. Take notes.
So Billy goes to San Diego. His dad's in the Navy. He's working at the Navy base, not the Marine base.
Yes, but there is a Navy base.
There's both.
Yeah, both.
His mom worked at the Marine base. But he went to high school because he was a teenager, not a soldier. And he goes to Mount Carmel High School in San Diego. Yeah. And there, being a teenage boy in the, what would this be? He was born in 62, so
70s.
School doesn't matter. What mattered to him was baseball, football, and basketball.
Yeah.
And cigarettes.
Yeah.
I live for 4 things: baseball, football, basketball, and cigarettes in reverse order. Last night, you're going to hate me for this. Last night during Fast Money.
5 minutes in, bringing up Family Feud. All right. Let's hear it.
Last night during Family Feud, the grandma of one of the families was doing Fast Money. The worst Fast Money round I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
There was a question where it was like, what is a part of your body that regenerates? Hair, fingernails, skin. She said hips. And then there was a question was, what's the first thing you reach for in the morning? And in this voice, she said, cigarettes.
But cigarettes was the top answer.
She literally got 14 total points in that Fast Money round.
Woof.
It was the worst I've ever seen. And her son came out and ended up getting the total score to 197. So he almost cleared the gap.
Yeah,
cleared the gap. It was crazy. But yeah, the first thing you reach for in the morning, cigarettes.
Yeah.
Kills me. I will never forget that moment. Anyways, it was just so relaxing about watching this old lady see cigarettes on TV. And see, there's something about that's funny, but there's decorum to that.
You saw that he's trying to stretch it now. I was looking, I was like, okay, that was only a minute. And he's like, yeah, but also there's this. Yeah, too much.
So
I'm interested in William Garbanzo Beane.
So Beane is playing baseball, football, and basketball.
Yeah, and smoking cigs. Looking cool.
And so he was really talented. He got named to the varsity team his freshman year on all 3 sports.
Okay.
He batted a .501 his sophomore and junior year of high school. So he was good. His senior year, he ended up deciding to drop both football and basketball, which was a controversial decision for him because he was already being scouted by Stanford, and they were talking about giving him a joint baseball football scholarship to succeed John Elway, who was a sophomore at the time. They're like, we're going to need to replace him in a couple of years, and we think you're our guy.
Wow.
And so that's like high praise, obviously. But he was like, no, he's like, if I keep playing football, I risk a career-ending injury. And he's like, baseball is a safer sport. I feel like I'm better at that game because his senior year, his batting average dropped to 300 and he felt like he was distracted. So he's like, I'm going to focus on baseball. I'm going to just pursue that. So he dropped everything else, just pursued baseball. And it paid off. He ended up being the New York Mets' first selection in the 1980 Major League Baseball draft straight out of high school.
Okay.
So he was a first-round draft pick, went to go play for the Mets, and spent 4 years playing in the minor leagues, and then went on to the majors, had 1 year.
It's one of my favorite things to watch, the videos of guys getting called up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So fun to watch.
Yeah, it is fun. So he goes.
You got to love watching people's dreams come true.
Yeah, it is exciting.
You know?
It is exciting. And it's even more exciting watching them get the call that they are getting cut. There's nothing better than watching someone's dreams get slashed. There's nothing I hate more than this bit that you do sometimes where you just decide to not engage with me, or you just decide I'm going to make you look crazy this episode. And it works every time because I can't stand it so much and it makes me go more crazy, but I can't stand it.
All right, that was 30 seconds you can cut out.
Oh my gosh. So he does the year with the Mets, and the Mets were like...
So he does a year with the Mets.
So he does a year with the Mets. He does a year with the Mets, and the Mets are like, you batted a 284.
Oof.
You're not great. We know we just called you up. We know we spent a first-round draft pick on you.
You're just not hot anymore.
You're not that hot. You stopped smoking, and now you're not cool anymore.
Yeah.
And so they trade him to the Twins. The Twins hold him for a year. They do the same thing. They trade him to the Tigers. The Tigers hold him for a year. They do the same thing. They trade him to the Athletics.
Is he bouncing around in the minor leagues, or did he get?
This is majors. So he's still in majors.
So he's in the majors,
but he's not getting to stay on an.
He at least got to play in the majors.
Exactly.
It's a beautiful, fun thing.
Yeah. And so he goes to the Athletics, and he spends a year with the Athletics. And the Athletics are like, hey, going into 1990 season, we feel like you've lost a step. We're going to downgrade you to the minors. And so he goes to the GM, Sandy Alderson, of the Oakland A's. And he says, hey,
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. I know who Billy Beane is. Keep going.
He says, hey.
I was like, I know this name is familiar.
He says, hey, I know, like, I could go do the minor league thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, but let's just cut this middle storyline out. Like, I don't need to go to the minors. I can just retire now. And he's like, I'd like to come be a scout. And he says, all right, you got a deal. And so he becomes a scout for the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah.
And he comes in kind of like a lower level scout. His job is what's called an advanced scout. So he's going to, not to high school students, not to colleges, but he's going to the minor leagues, and he's scouting for other players. I
sat next to a guy on Delta Flight that did this.
Did he tell you about it?
Yeah. I mean, like, loosely. I mean, he was like, I'm a scout for, he was for the Rays, Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah. Did he have anybody on his radar that day?
I was like, hey, are you going to watch somebody? And he said, no, I'm going on vacation with my family right now.
And so he's like, don't talk to me.
No, he started the conversation. I think all he wanted was for me to know he's a scout.
You were like, you want to see me? I can do some gassers down the aisles. You want to see my agility?
I was like, hey, I'll run right now, dude. I said, I was a catcher. I got a hip flexor issue right now. Like, my hips are kind of tight, so I can't actually fully get into the squat position. But like,
it's like takeoff, and the flight attendant's like, sir, you got to sit down. We're trying to take off. And you're
I'm
like,
like,
no,
hey,
I'm trying out. This is my big break.
My dream.
I'm trying out for the Rays.
Can you write that
now?
down? Because I yelled off mic and Tim yelled into it. He doesn't understand mic control. He's not very funny. And so he's just really bad at this. We've been podcasting for almost 10 years, and he still hasn't got the hang of it.
I'm trying to talk over you is what I'm doing. I'm trying to make it to where my joke is the one that people hear. Because this is
when you hear this back, show this to your counselor. Ask your counselor to listen to the last 2 episodes. And then be like, which one of us is the crazy one?
Here's the deal. I've had a crazy day already. It started at like 6 a.m. and it hasn't stopped being.
What happened? Oh, you had a couple sites go down?
Well, I mean, that was the 6th thing that happened today. And it's been one of those. And so I am a little high strung. I will admit I'm a little tense. Anyways, so
do that again.
I'm a little tense. Right? You gotta.
I'm a little
tense. Got some tension in my pecs.
Like, buddy, what the heck is wrong with you?
I don't know. How else with your body would you try to illustrate the fact that you're tense? Show me another way you would try to illustrate tension without just flexing. Yeah, like, okay, that's it. Yeah, that does look different. That does look different. You're right. There was another way to do that.
And you went.
That was weirder, though. I think that was weirder.
You posted up to your problems like you were like going to be like,
yeah,
hey.
Yeah, that's how men fight their problems. They fist fight their stress.
So you think that, I just want to make sure that we understand. So you think that addressing your problems in a masculine way.
Yeah, it's got to be masculine.
Is to puff your chest and
tell your problems.
Brute force.
You're the wuss.
Actually, tell your pops?
No, tell your problem.
Oh, tell your pops you're the wuss.
You're the wuss.
Yeah.
You're the weak one.
That's some big 5'10" energy over there, buddy. Okay, so Billy Beane is a scout for now the Oakland A's.
Yeah. And so he's working underneath.
What year is this?
1990.
Okay.
And so he's working underneath Sandy Alderson. And Sandy is teaching him about this new stuff that's like, it's not really new. This has been around for a little bit called, hold on, let me get the right, Sabermetrics, SABR metrics, which stands for Society for American Baseball Research. Which was founded in 1971. So relatively recent. It's this new way of doing analysis on players that was pretty like groundbreaking, which is weird, where instead of looking at a player and being like, that person's good at baseball, I'm going to offer them a bunch of money to come play for my team, they would look at their stats.
Right.
And be like, these are good stats. This is good on paper, so we know they're a good player. But a lot of scouts had a lot of problems with sabermetrics because the scouts were like...
Because the scouts were like, no, it's a feeling. It's a vibe.
And the scouts were like,
I've got to hold, because every player has that gold necklace, that little chain, right? And they take it off, I hold it in my hand, and I go...
He's like, nope, you're not going to make it to the league.
I hate when you ruin my bits. I hate when I'm about to do something funny and then you go, wow. That makes me so... So Billy Beane is a guy who's now working for the Oakland A's.
I want to know your version of that bit. I want to tell me your version of that bit.
I was going,
So basically the same bit.
Yeah, but you went, ow. The sound you made is like if oatmeal came to life and was like a monster in the bowl and was like, like a sloppy monster. The sound I made was more like a psychic looking at the thing and trying to go to a different realm and be like, you will do. And I was going to do a whole like, I see you playing ball. And also, and I was going. I'm not even going to give you the punchline. I'm not going to give you the punchline. We gotta let it. We gotta let it float into the ether because Tim was like, wow. Because Tim was like, you know what's funnier? What if I speak over Jaron and I do my bits?
No, what is funnier is that the psychic.
So Billy Beane is a guy who works for the Oakland A's, and he. No, make my mic louder than his.
Keep raising.
Cut him out.
Take him out of this podcast.
You just hear Tim
just get really quiet. You can't even hear me talking, but I'm talking.
All right.
Silent almost.
So Saber is a on paper kind of way of looking at things.
Yeah, they're evaluating their actual stats.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's like what do they actually
are they looking
pull
at?
Off? So they're looking at pretty much every stat in baseball. And what's interesting is in those early years, they're just like, what are all the possible stats? We're going to start tracking them and start to see what has the most connection to players who actually succeed in the league. Because what happened all the time, and it's very interesting, baseball is different than pretty much every other professional sport. They have a 20-round draft. And they just pull in, baseball will draft kids straight out of high school.
Yes.
And instead of letting them
to
go
put them in the
to
minors.
College, yeah, they put them in the minors. They let them develop from there. But the problem is, like, what happens so often is they will spend these first few rounds on
I would love to do
kids.
I don't know if it's time in this episode, but a side tangent on the way that minor league works, because like they're not paid a lot.
Yeah, well, what happens if they get drafted?
Right, if they get drafted, they get a signing bonus, they get all that stuff. But minor league players don't make a lot of money, and they have to pay for a lot of their own stuff.
Yeah.
And it ends up being like a lot of them have other jobs.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it works in the MLB, but I do know I knew a guy who was in the minor leagues for the NHL, and they lived in a team house. And so they had a house that was it was like a frat house essentially.
Is that Andy?
No.
Oh.
I don't know if you've met him. But it was like essentially a team house.
Then he's made up. I know everybody that Tim knows, and Tim's lying right now.
No, I really don't think his name was Nate. I don't think you've met him. But it was like a team house. Everybody lived in this team house. He did have another job. He sold insurance for State Farm. I bought some from him. And then he would put us in suites every time he played at Cable Dahmer. And so they definitely weren't making enough. It's the same thing of like
when like the NFL cheerleaders make nothing.
Which, did you watch the season of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders?
No.
They campaigned. They got raises, and so I think they.
Why would I have watched
minimum
that?
salary?
Why did you watch that?
It's interesting.
Okay.
The minimum salary I think they get now is $80,000 for the Cowboys.
Oh, wow. Well, to be fair though,
they're worth it.
I was gonna say.
Okay, that sounds let me explain. I need to explain.
Hey, join us on Patreon if you want this to be ad-free. And also, there's a bunch of other perks. You get to, all episodes are ad-free. You get next week's episode right now. And you get to do monthly hangouts with me and Tim. Like it's like a virtual just hangout room. And we play games together. We talk. We have show and tell sometimes. We've made a lot of good friends through this. And so it's a really good time to do that. So either way, please share the episode. Tell somebody about it. These are all those ways to help us grow the show because we love doing it and we want to keep doing it. So thanks for being here.
I didn't say that line.
Oh, I love. This is my favorite moment of the whole show. Wow, Tim. Wow.
They provide a lot of value for the team.
Oh my gosh, that was crazy.
is the value that they provide for the team.
They're worth it. Yeah, I mean they're worth it. That's crazy. No, I meant like they've now spun that, like whoever was the marketing director for the cheerleaders of the Dallas Cowboys.
That's what I'm saying. They're a brand.
Tim, let me finish my thought. I'm trying to save you right now, buddy.
That's what I said.
They became a separate entity that
yeah.
exists alongside the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Because of like their Netflix series, they had they had a reality. They were their own reality show. You know, and so
they're a valuable brand in and of themselves,
right?
Separate from the team.
So now that is the elite.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could start on another team.
Yeah.
And be a cheerleader, and then hopefully become a doubt. Like that's what you want to.
Yeah.
You know.
But it was a huge deal because they talked about
the process of becoming an NFL cheerleader, at least for the Chiefs. I mean, I've had a couple friends who have auditioned for it and tried, and it's pretty aggressive. Like
it's not easy to make.
You have to know the entire roster for several years back too. Yeah. You have to know. You have to know a lot of stuff about the Chiefs.
Yeah, and what's crazy.
I don't mean entire roster like all the starting players. Like you got to know. You got to know every position.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
which is crazy. It's crazy because that's not what you do on a day-to-day basis at all. It has nothing.
No. I mean, like, you're too poor to sit close. When you sit up front by them, they're doing the dances and stuff, and you're like, "Hey, who's the backup right tackle?"
And they have to tell you the stats.
Yeah,
that's actually their main
where'd he
job.
go to high school? You know?
Do I know him? Are we friends on Facebook?
You are so worth it. Because they're worth it. Crazy.
I was trying to be supportive.
Yeah.
But also they do provide a lot of value. They used to make like $30,000 a year, which is crazy. So they pulled a pretty big race.
I think they made way less than that. Hold on. Because I don't, they're not salary. Or at least not the Chiefs.
Yeah, they were hourly. They are salary now with benefits.
The Cowboys cheerleaders are?
Yeah, because that was the whole thing in the show is like they all had
cheerleaders make, an average of $17,000 a year. They earn a flat rate per game. They earn $150 per game.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Because when this happened,
and then practices pay $10 to $20 per hour, and then public appearances, like if they send 3 cheerleaders out to an event, that's like $50 to $75.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember looking into it because
but they pay for all their own costs, like their hair and makeup, their travel to and from events.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No way. There's no way they're paying for the flights.
Isn't that crazy?
Does the visiting team doesn't bring cheerleaders.
So they only do home games and they do local events.
We stayed when I was in what year was that? I think I was in 5th grade. Greatest time of my life because we stayed at the same hotel as the Kansas City Chiefs cheerleaders when we went to see the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. And they played the Green Bay Packers.
Nice.
So
they might travel for games like that.
Well, yeah, it's the Hall of Fame game.
Interesting. Yeah, so we can forget
I think
about
both teams took their cheerleaders to Brazil, right?
I think so, yeah.
Like
I think they would
big things like that. Yeah. Super Bowl, both teams get cheerleaders, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're worth it.
And they're worth it. You get what I was trying to say, though, right?
Yeah.
Do I need to?
No, I don't think you don't got to explain anything to me. But Bree's gonna, and Bree doesn't listen to this, so she's not even gonna have any questions.
I watched it with her.
Your mom might tell her though. Your mom's gonna be because your mom listens and watches. Thanks, Terry.
Yeah.
And but she's gonna text Bree like, you need to listen to this episode. Go ahead and skip forward to minute 45. But so Billy Beane.
So Billy Beane is
what stats are they focused on? Is what I'm saying. Like they determined like there's these stats early. Then what were the stats they were focused on? I'm sure their batting average, their running speed. I'm sure was what they were trying to focus on. All these. I know which stat they initially ended up like what they ended up going to.
Yeah. I don't know what sabermetrics focused on in the early days of sabermetrics. I know that early on they were like whatever they were looking at all stats trying to figure out what was the one that actually influenced the ability to win games. Like what stat do you need the most of? But I don't know when they
because the way that baseball contracts worked, some of these players like star players were getting incredible amounts of money.
Yeah.
And like so and I guess it kind of works the same way with the NFL. I mean, you'd have players making crazy contracts to play third base while your second baseman is making 1/20th of that.
Yeah, there's huge discrepancies.
Huge discrepancies across the roster.
Yeah. And it's interesting with baseball too, because even to this day, like you will have contracts that are multi-million-dollar contracts for some players on the team, and then other players on the team will have six-figure contracts.
Yeah.
And so there's a disparity where, like, if you look at a lot of other leagues, like the NFL, for example, like players in the NFL, they're all still millionaires. They're all still doing really well. But there are some that are doing significantly differently.
Exceptionally well.
Yeah. And so...
Well, it's like when Mahomes when they first won that first Super Bowl, and there was I think it was a video that they were talking about. They were in the locker room or whatever, and some of the other guys were like, hey, did you go watch that movie yet?
Oh, yeah,
and he's like, I can't go to movie theaters.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And it's just like a different level of like when I was at the Starbucks by my house, I don't even know the guy's name, but I know he plays for the Chiefs because he would walk in and they're pretty visibly not a normal person. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, yeah, you are a truck. And so, but he was like, I think he was like a defensive lineman coming to Starbucks, drive a pretty nice car. Up, you know? Yeah. But no one in there was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. You know? Same thing with, who was our bald? Sorensen would come to Chick-fil-A quite a bit, but no one would be like,
really? I would think people would recognize him.
I mean, I think one person working would go, because I think that's Sorensen. You know, I think it would be one of those things like, I think that's
people
him.
Who know.
But it's like with his family, and like, but someone would go, it's not like undeniable. Like he walks in and you don't go, that's Sorensen. You go, he walks in, you go, I think that's Daniel Sorensen.
Oh, speaking of, I thought of this new bit the other day. I haven't got to do this to anybody yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. This is like a nice bit. This is a fun bit to do to your friends. But like when you see your friend in public, act like they're a celebrity that no one else in the room knows who they are. And so
you're just like, with you?
Yeah, you're just like, oh my God, is that Alex Garnett? And then you're like, can you take a picture and get someone to take a picture and be like, you want me to take a picture with them? And then you get like, see if you can get a group of strangers to take a picture with your friend who's not famous at all. I love the idea. I haven't got to do it yet.
I think that's funny. My favorite thing to do is if you're at Disney or something, this is ask someone to take your picture.
Yeah.
Have I told you this one? Where it's like if you and I were at Disney together, we would go, hey, sir, would you take our picture? And then you and I, and they take a picture, and you go, you should be in this. Hey, will you take a picture of us and then get a stranger in the picture with you?
That's really funny.
Then go, you should be in this. And then just see how many people you can do that to.
You can suck.
That's really funny.
That's really funny. I like that a lot too. Those are two great bits. Two great bits you can do.
Yeah. Have some fun. You know? Another really fun bit is go audition for the Kansas City Chiefs cheerleader. They let anybody audition. They let anybody audition. They can't I'll tell you what, they can't turn you away.
So anyways, while we were doing all these bits, I looked up what sabermetrics started out with, and it started with batting average. That was what they thought was the big one, and then eventually they started looking at the correlation between batting average and runs scored as a team, like the whole team's batting average, the whole team's runs scored. But eventually, they ended up landing on base percentage. So by the time Billy Beane became the scout, Sandy Alderson was looking for players who had good on base percentages, meaning they got on base a lot, because they said this is the thing that correlates to teams being able to win games, which is a pretty big change for scouting in the major leagues. Because, like I said before, scouts would go watch high school players play and say, this kid's got it. And it was based on a feeling and a vibe. And a lot of times it was not, it didn't pan out because it was vibes.
Yeah.
And usually these kids were kids that were doing good in high school, but there wasn't like any concrete data behind the fact that they were good. It was just they're doing well. Oh, speaking of kids that do well.
No,
I gotta tell you. No. I gotta tell you, this is crazy.
Tell me later.
I have to tell you now.
Oh
We're not that far in.
I do not consent to this story.
So, Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
If you don't, he's the running back for the Baltimore Ravens. This is going to change this season, but he's been in the NFL for 9 years. I saw this on another podcast, and then I went and watched so much game footage. But he's been in the NFL for 9 seasons.
Okay.
And he has just under 12,000 yards in the NFL from 9 seasons.
Okay.
In his 4-year high school football career, he had 12,145 yards. And so he has more seasons in his high school career, or more yards in his high school career than he has in 9 seasons in the NFL, which is bonkers. And you look it up, you look up the stat sheet.
Tim, why is that bonkers?
Well, okay.
Okay, because no.
I know exactly what you're going to say. And I watched the footage, and you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Yeah, because, you're telling me that it's taken him 9 years to run 12,000 miles against professional defensive players, an entire roster of pro defensive players, versus his high school games where he was running against maybe one other guy on the defense who maybe had a shot at the pros. You're telling me this force of a person, gigantic guy.
Yes.
That's why he made the league.
I would expect it to take
someone who is exceptional.
But to take more than double the time in the league is insane.
It's not insane.
I think it's insane.
Every team you're playing has 11 professional athletes on the other side of the ball. When you're in high school, you got idiots.
He was averaging 250 yards a game. There are games in his high school career where he is over 500 rushing yards.
And that's crazy because he's playing against high schoolers. And as a high schooler, he looked 42.
I watched a bunch of game footage of him playing in high school, and he's a head and shoulders taller than everybody else on the field.
I can't believe he scored 500 yards on these people.
But also,
that's not crazy.
After watching a bunch of game footage, I spent a couple hours watching game footage of him in high school after I saw this. I genuinely don't know if he got tackled in high school. Like, just watching this footage, like, nobody could bring him down. I genuinely don't think he got tackled in high school. And I don't know if that's
pros
true.
Got tackled for the first time.
He's like, man, this sucks.
I didn't like that.
You guys do this all the time? You guys, like, get tackled?
Where do you go to college
the worst. I don't know, actually. Let me see. He went to the University of Alabama. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's not that crazy.
He got the Heisman his freshman year.
That's crazy.
That is nuts. What a psychopath. I mean, he really is.
He's paid a lot of money, and he's worth it.
Never going to hear the end of that.
He's so worth it. Okay, so
Sandy
maybe I messed up on the story here though, because I thought that Billy Beane had to like fight the team to get this to be.
So Sandy teaches him this thing.
Yeah.
And when he teaches him, it's kind of this thing where Sandy is doing this as the GM, and when he's looking at players, But his scouts are still doing what scouts do, and that's going and watching college or high school and college and minor league players play and just vibing them out.
Yeah.
And then they tell the GM, they say, hey, I like the vibe of this guy. And the GM was looking at him.
Also, if you're a travel ball parent, like if your kid plays baseball and you travel for that, you should know that college scouts and pro scouts are also watching how the parents act in the stands.
Yeah.
Because like your kid could be really talented, but if I'm a college scout and I see you in the stands, I'm like, I don't want to put up with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you could ruin your whole kid's career just by being who you are at these little league games.
That's actually 100% true. And it's crazy.
These people are, there's nobody worse than a travel ball parent. These people will load their family into the Suburban. They'll drive states away for a baseball game, but they won't drive 20 minutes to a counseling appointment.
That's true.
It's a good joke.
That is true. So
I don't know, it's worth it.
So Billy learns all this stuff about sabermetrics from Sandy. And he's a scout for Sandy for a few years. And then in 1997, Sandy leaves the Athletics, and then Billy is offered the job as GM. So he takes the job as GM, and he immediately is like, okay, I know this guy who's really good with sabermetrics and stats and stuff like this. He's a total nerd. He's like, I'm going to call him up. His name's Paul De Podesta. And he's like, I want you to be my assistant GM. And he's like, all right, done. And so then he comes and joins the team. And then he sits all the scouts down and he says, hey, no more of whatever you guys are doing. I don't like it. He says, we're only going to do metrics from now on.
Okay.
And
the movie makes it seem like
it does.
And that's not what happened.
No.
You're saying that Sandy was already doing this.
Sandy was already doing this.
Okay.
But it wasn't, I will say.
Because the movie makes it seem like Jonah Hill brought this to the A's. Or like that Jonah Hill was like, you should be looking at this.
Which Jonah Hill plays Paul De Podesta.
That's what I'm saying.
But yeah.
Same person, whatever.
That's not what happened. Yeah, that's not what happened.
Which also, did Paul look like Jonah Hill?
I wish I could do pictures today. Our TV's not working. No, he does not.
Because Billy Beane got played by Brad Pitt.
I will say,
which is pretty sick.
Here's a picture of them. So they, not even close.
Not even close.
There's
dude.
a lot of people who knew this story ahead of the story and were close to the Athletics didn't like the movie.
Gotcha.
Because it made a lot of people, like a lot of individual people with the team, look pretty bad that did not look that bad in real life.
Well, because the scouts were like, we're fighting you on this. We're not going to do it. And then Billy Beane's like, yeah, you're out. You're cut. I'm done. I'm not messing with this stuff. We're doing this system. And it seemed like the way that the movie we're referencing is Moneyball, if you don't know. And the way the movie portrays this is that Billy Beane's the GM trying to figure out the team sucks, trying to figure out what's going to work. And then Paul Despacito, or whatever his last name is. What is it?
De Podesta.
De Podesta. Somehow he and Billy Beane, their paths cross.
Yeah.
At some office thing or whatever.
Yeah. Well, he's on a plane and he finds out he's a scout and he's like, you want to see me run down the aisle?
Yeah. And then so Paul goes, hey, you should be looking at the on base percentage. And Billy Beane's like, what? He goes, you should be looking at the on base percentage. That's the correlating factor.
Mm-hmm.
And then Billy Beane goes back to the A's and is like, we got to look at the on base percentage, and then fires the whole staff and brings in this guy. Is what the movie makes it seem like.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no,
but none of that happened.
He had already been looking at it before that.
Hollywood,
the guy before him had been looking at it.
It's not a compelling story though.
It's a much better story.
It's kind of like this football movie I watched where like the kicker's name is David. His dad's in a wheelchair. Great story. And I'm standing for my son. And don't touch me. I'm standing for my son. And every youth group watched that. They're playing the Giants at the end.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beautiful moment. Yeah. Hey, if you love the show, a great way to show support is by getting some merch. We got lots of great stuff. I'm going to showcase some of it right now. This is like our little TILLN QVC. You can get it's a podcast sweatshirt. Very sweet. The nice thing about this is no one knows what podcast you're talking about. So you wear it in public and you can tell them about your Lord and Savior, TILLN podcast. We also got this is one of my favorite things we've ever made. The Fiddle Off Fest hoodie. It's got the devil playing a fiddle. It's not really the devil, it's a skeleton. And then all of the bands on the back of it, like it's a festival, but spoiler alert, these aren't bands. These are jokes from episodes. So worth checking out. And this is one of my favorite things we've ever done. This is for the real fans. This is an old one. We've got a Tim Stone's Get Well Quick Trick shirt, and it's very cool. We got some really good designs. Jaron is good at designing stuff, so support his dream. No one will hire him as a designer, but you can by buying his merch. It's our merch, but it's his designs. And so leave a comment, say, Jaron, you're good at this. We like your art. He really needs it. He needs your support so bad. Please make him feel better about it. And buy some merch. It helps make this show keep happening. You can tell people about how much you love this show with it. So
I was even trying. I was like, all right, I'm gonna wait out there and do this.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, you're gonna do a 2-minute merch ad.
It wasn't a 2-minute merch ad.
Oh, Jaron's a good designer. Jaron's a good. Go give him a high five. Like, dude,
make him feel good about his art.
And then you're gonna make him listen to 2 minutes of ads. We gotta do all that, and then it's gonna be like, back to school this fall. Like, no wonder we will hate.
There's skippable ads.
They're not skippable.
They are skippable. Yeah, YouTube Premium. Leave all this in that ad. Gosh, never mind. We don't have to even.
That movie wasn't that bad. It was their cop movie they did that was pretty bad.
And their
like
fire
Courageous.
movie, their firefighter movie, and yeah, there was just so many in that series that were just so rough.
Christian entertainment's pretty bad.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
And it's because here's why is that they don't allow you to be funny. And they also, it has to have a message. Otherwise it's not worth it.
And the standards are really low.
Like, true, the standards are low. But I would say like, I'll do comedy shows that I'll feel like I do a serious part of my show, not like a whole like, hey, come forward and give your life to Christ kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I do a serious part of my show. And there is a certain group of people at my show who will kind of politely laugh through the first 30 minutes of my show. When I do the serious part, after that, it's almost like they go, oh, okay, this had a purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like where they're like, oh, okay, it's okay to laugh because this had a point.
Yeah.
And if you don't do the point, it's like that guy in San Antonio. When we first started, we did the homeless shelter, and it was 300 homeless people. So they packed out this homeless shelter. They're there for the food. Mm-hmm. And I get up, and they didn't know that they allowed a comedian. So I'm joking, and these homeless people are like...
What happened was the director hired us, but he wasn't there that night.
That's right.
The assistant director
else.
was running it, and he did not know that you were a comedian. He thought you were a preacher.
Thought I was a speaker. And so, and they're all laughing. We're having a really great time. And he goes over to Tim and is like, what's this guy joking around the whole time?
Yeah.
And
he was very mad. Like, very.
He's like, why is this guy joking around the whole time? And you're like, what do you
He said, these people come here to get fed spiritually and physically. And I was like, oh. I was like, well, he's just joking.
Crazy, dude. It was like 19, crazy.
And this guy was in my face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, dude, we're dumb kids.
Yeah.
But the homeless people are laughing, so chill out.
I think I literally said that. I was like, I think they're having a great time.
We were having a good time.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but that's what so Christian entertainment ends up being like what happens, and me and some other Christian creators have had conversations with people to make productions, and very quickly into the conversation, it ends up being the people who fund it want it to have a certain message.
Yeah.
They want it to have a slant. They want it to be inspirational and all this stuff. And they end up just making it so it's like, oh, I'm shackled by this. Good. And like, I don't want to VeggieTales this story. Like, what do you like? I just want to tell a good story that's worth it. Mm-hmm. And you want it to be like, and at the end, when we're watching the movie, at the end you go, oh, wow.
I feel uplifted.
It sucks, man. And it's just like, dude, just let art be art. Like, it's the whole thing of like, is it valuable if you can't turn it upside down and it be Jesus? Mm-hmm. Is it still a valuable piece of art?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, drives me nuts.
Yeah,
if you watch my comedy specials upside down, it looks like Jesus the whole time.
Crazy if you could do that with some cool editing.
crazy. So anyway.
No, yeah. I mean, I agree with you. We can talk about this more in the After the Fiddle because I was actually thinking about this morning and I spiraled pretty hard.
Great.
So we could talk about that.
But
more.
Anyway. So the movie is what I mean. The Moneyball movie portrayed the story differently than reality. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
like every movie.
So then, tell us what happened then after that, though.
So he gets the job.
Yeah,
and he calls up Podesta. Podesta joins the team. He does go to all the scouts and he says, "This is what we're going to do from now on." Some of the scouts decided to leave because they were like, "I want this to go off my vibe. I don't want it to go off of the numbers."
I want to go my vibe, bro. No, I quit my team. I quit my job as a MLB scout just because I was harsh in my vibe.
Yeah, exactly. And there was a little bit of scandal about it because what he did is he made this decision. This is how they started scouting.
Yeah.
And then he essentially was like, hey, there's a disparity in the MLB where the teams that have a lot of money to spend can spend a lot of money to go get the best players.
Right.
And the teams that don't have a lot of money to spend are kind of left with, for lack of a better term, the scraps because they don't have the budget.
And we're having to compete against each other.
Yeah, but we still have to play.
It's the same thing of like colleges. If you got the rich college versus the small local college,
Yes. And so he found this on-base percentage thing, and he said, I think if we assemble a team that has the highest on-base percentage, we could win. And we can actually play at a similar level to
and we can save money. We don't have to pay these guys that much money.
It costs us less. And then we can actually, a team that has a couple superstars, we have a bunch of decent players. We can come up against a team that's got a couple superstars. And so
it's the difference between, example, you're a running back. And the defense has 2-star players and 9 goobers.
9, I don't know, high school nerds.
Or you're up against a defense of 11 pretty decent guys. I'm pretty sure, and this is going to sound
might sound nuts.
You might not get as many yards against the 11 pretty decent guys as you would have the 2 all-stars and 9 goobers.
Fine.
But I will say this. If any one of those 9 goobers had the right resources and was born at the right time and the right coaches and the right diet plan from the time they were born, and they could have and sure, Derrick Henry was 1.5 feet taller than all of them, but they could have made it.
I think they could have. Could they start? Maybe not. Could they be Derrick Henry's level? Probably not. But could they make it?
If you went to a Lutheran high school in Colorado, you too could have 12,000 rushing yards. They played third graders.
We did play the Colorado School of the Deaf and Blind, and we did lose that game.
No, you did.
Yes, we did.
You did what?
My freshman and sophomore year. My freshman and sophomore year. Freshman year, we lost. Sophomore year, we won. Junior year, we went up.
The Colorado School of Deaf and Blind?
Yeah, so we stopped.
And you lost.
Yeah, we did lose. My freshman season, we lost. Yeah. Sophomore year, we beat them. Sophomore year, we beat them, and they put us up a division.
Can't make any statements about that.
They only... Never mind.
No. That's all right. Tim. That is crazy.
It is crazy. It was embarrassing. But we got rid of our coach.
Why is it embarrassing?
We got rid of our coach.
No, say why it's embarrassing.
They can't see us and they're beating us. So they start scouting with this method, looking for players that have a high on-base percentage. They completely abandon high school kids. They say we're not going after high school students anymore because they're too long to get to the league. You have to develop them in the minor leagues. And that's a waste of our time and money.
What's the minimum age they can go to majors? Do you know?
There's not a minimum age, but there's a skill level they want to see them get to.
Really?
I don't think there's a minimum age. I mean, really? I think 18, probably.
Yeah, I wonder what's the youngest MLB player? These are fun
minimum
questions.
Age, Major League Baseball. There isn't a strict minimum age. Players have to be 17 to be eligible to be drafted or signed.
Okay.
So
there is a minimum age. Just making sure that you all heard that. There isn't a minimum age. Players have to be 17 to be eligible. Okay, so 17 then.
17.
Sounds like it.
Oh, wait. So U.S. has to be at least 18 years old or out of high school. So if they graduate before they're 18.
Okay.
International have to be at least 17 to be eligible for the draft.
Interesting.
Wow. And then college players, which is interesting. So if they're in college, though, if they go to college instead of be drafted straight out of high school, they have to, they're eligible after their junior year or when they turn 21, whichever comes first.
Yeah.
Really interesting. So there's like weird
So you either have to commit to not going to college, or you got to commit to going to college.
Yeah. But inevitably, unless you're just amazing, if you get graduated,
of course.
You're going you're going to the minors. And so he says, I'm not going to draft a player that I'm not going to get to use right away.
Sure.
I'm not going to use early draft capital on one of those players. I'm going to use my early draft capital on a player that has a higher likelihood of being a success in the league.
Okay.
Because these high school players so often don't pan out. Sometimes they do, but it's a gamble. And it's very interesting because so much of the league historically has brought on these high gamble players in those early rounds.
Yeah.
And then the later rounds are the sure things.
Interesting.
So he's like, we're pushing all the sure things up and we're aiming for players with that specific on-base percentage is what we're aiming for. And he goes and he clears out the highest salary players, trades them away so he can free up cash.
Yeah.
So he can go get a ton of these on-base percentage players in the draft. And so his draft was deeply ridiculed this season. For years, he had years where his drafts were ridiculed because his drafts looked like, compared to what the league was used to, bad drafts.
Sure.
But over the course of a few years, he started to put together this team that had this high on-base percentage because he was able to start getting these players that were at the level where they were ready to go straight into the majors, or had gone to the minor for a couple of years and they went to the majors, and then they started to pan out. Like they were played like. Obviously, some of them ended up being misses. Some of them ended up being hits. And so he put together this team that didn't have a ton of stars. There was a couple, didn't have a ton of stars. Was mostly players that were good players, not incredible players. But they had this one specific stat that they were great at, on-base percentage.
Okay.
And so the 2002 season is when this all kind of came together, and they started having a really good year. And he is getting a lot of flack going into this season. And there's an interview where he responds to it. And I love this quote from him. He says, "It's all about evaluating skills and putting a price on them. 30 years ago, stockbrokers used to buy stocks strictly by feel. Let's put it this way. Anyone in the game with a 401k has a choice. You can choose a fund manager who manages their retirement by gut instinct or one that chooses it by research and analysis. I know which way I'd choose." And so he said, forget it. I'm not just going to guess. I'm going to look at the numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm going to look at a number that we know pans out. And so they put together this team. And coming into this season, throughout the 90s, the A's had been a mediocre team at best. At many years had been a bad team.
Right.
And they were not known for being successful. In the 70s and 80s, they had a few championship runs. They were a team that was a great team. But a new owner bought them in the 90s and said, this costs too much. And so they just slashed their spending.
Right.
And they became a bad team pretty much overnight. And so they go into that 2002 season, and it starts out pretty rocky. But over the course of the year, they end up going on this legendary 20-game winning run, which few teams have ever done this. And it's interesting if you look at like the records, and this is another thing, like quirk of the MLB. If you look at the record books, they track records from the old National Association. So the last team to cross 20 wins was the St. Louis Maroons in 1884, and also the Providence Grays in the same year in 1884. Both those teams crossed 20 wins, and so over 100 years prior to that was when someone had done
this.
Yeah, and so they got the 20 wins. Obviously a huge accomplishment. And now everyone's like, oh, the Athletics figured something out. And they end up going on to have 100 wins that season. And
how many games did they play then?
Let me look. 162.
That's the thing about baseball, dude. Some people play fantasy baseball, and it's like, dude,
it's so stressful. I played one season, and it's
you gotta check it twice a day.
Yeah. It is exhausting. And
if you forget one day, you're done. 162 games.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
and it's like if you go in the middle of the season, stadiums are not full because you can't sell. But the stadiums are that big for when you get to the end of the season and you're doing well.
Yeah.
Then every game sold out.
Every game is full. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting business. It's a very interesting sport in general. Like it's just so different than every other professional sport.
I'm so fascinated by the Savannah Bananas as well.
Oh yeah, they crushed it.
So I was in contact with them, and do you remember me emailing them in like 2021? Yeah, and they did Kansas City. They did the Monarchs Stadium.
Yep.
Which is our small, not even minor league. It's what league is that?
I think it's minor league. I think it's.
They're not minor league. They're not affiliated with the. They're not like. They're not the official minor league. They're not an A team or anything.
Really? I thought they were like a AAA.
They're not a AAA team. For who? For the Royals?
Not for the Royals. They're the Monarchs now. I forgot. They're American Association of Professional Baseball.
That's what I'm saying. They're not in the MLB minors.
Yeah, you're right. I thought they were.
And so it's a small.
No, it's an MLB partner, but I don't know if it's.
It's a partner, but it's not an official. It's not like an AA, AAA.
Yeah.
And so it's a small baseball stadium is what I'm saying. And the Savannah Bananas were playing that. I had emailed them and was talking with them about like, is there anything we can do together? That kind of stuff. And then it ended up, I got booked that weekend for a show. So I didn't get to work out with anything.
Yeah.
A year later, they're all of a sudden huge.
Yep. And
then now here we are a couple of years after that, and they're selling out football stadiums, dude.
Yep.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy what they were able to do. And it really is like they're doing the
Harlem Globetrotter.
Yeah, the Globetrotters.
But it's different because Harlem Globetrotters is all scripted, and it's kind of like the whole thing is like to bring kids onto the field and do all this stuff. They're playing they just made a new game.
Yeah.
They made a baseball adjacent game.
Yeah, they made baseball but different. Which is interesting because I feel like this has been a thing. Like they've been changing some rules with baseball to try to make it a faster game to appeal to a younger generation lately. And I feel like they were just like, oh, you're not going far enough.
Oh, yeah. Banana Ball is not. Do you know the rules of Banana Ball? Do you know about this at all?
I know about it, but I've never really like sat down to.
Banana Ball is a different game. There's only 7 innings. And then so let's say that in this inning, one team scores 3 points, the other team scores 2. Instead of the scoreboard reading 3-2, it'll read 1-0 because that team won the inning.
Gotcha.
And so and the game it has a time limit on it. If the time limit's like 2 hours, right?
Interesting.
And so if the game's not over by then, the game's over. And so they just took out a bunch of like if a fan catches a foul ball, it's an out, it counts. And so it was just they've done some really fun and also all the TikTok dances and all the stunts.
Yeah, they do crazy stuff.
They do like backflip catches and like they do little silly stuff. But like they're developing, dude, the business brain of this stuff. They've got the bananas, they got the party animals, they got the firefighters. They're introducing 2 new teams. By this time next year, they're gonna have 6 teams.
Yeah,
that they're having their own league.
Yeah,
it's crazy,
and
they're expanding.
Yeah.
And each of those teams has their own fan base.
Mm-hmm. And those games will outsell the average MLB game.
It's crazy, man.
Granted, the MLB has a lot more games.
Well, and they've priced tickets and they've capped what they're not charging insane.
Oh, really? I didn't know they capped them.
Yeah, they only charge like $40 a ticket.
That's crazy.
And he goes, I never want it to be where he goes, people are saying we're missing out on millions and millions of dollars. And he goes, I don't care.
That's crazy.
He said he's trying to have Banana Ball fans for 50 years.
That's pretty crazy.
So it's like, dude, I mean, it's pretty crazy.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
And all the game ticket includes the snacks and stuff. All the snacks and drinks and stuff are included in your ticket price.
That's really interesting. I didn't know
that. But their wait list is insane. It's hard to get to a game.
I didn't know that he capped it. That's crazy.
It's interesting to look at. Maybe we could do a little side episode or a smaller episode on Savannah Bananas because how they developed that is crazy. And it's almost like what there's the John Oliver episode where they were talking about the minor league teams and the crazy stuff that minor league teams do to try to get people to come to games.
Yeah,
it's very interesting stuff. So anyway,
interesting. Okay, well, what was I talking about?
We were talking about how now they're on a legendary run. It's been 100 years since anyone's done this. Yeah. Now they've won 20 games in a row. There's 162 games in a season.
They win 103.
So honestly, 20 games in a row,
is
a feat, but it's also like, they still, I don't think they won where it mattered that season, right?
Well, they won 103 games in the year. They won the division title, but they didn't make it through playoffs.
Right.
And so they had a winning season. They had a season where they were one of the top teams in the league, but they didn't obviously win it all. But it was still enough for them to end up on the map. And now all of a sudden, every team is like, what are you guys doing different?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, you guys just got really, really good out of nowhere. And this kind of changed every sport. Because from this point forward, every sport started looking at advanced analytics.
Right.
And saying, how can we bring numbers into the game to where it's not just a feeling? And we see this in literally every single game now, where teams have stopped doing what he said stockbrokers used to do, where they'd go off just the feeling.
Vibes.
Yeah. And now it's concrete data to prove whether or not you're a good bet or not, which makes sense because especially in most of these leagues, they're spending millions on these players. And so you're not going to just say,
right.
Seem good and hope that pans out. And so he ends up getting an offer at the end of that season. The Red Sox come to him and they say, hey, we've been bad for a long time.
Why'd you say it like that? Hey, we've been bad for a long time. Would you come make us good? I promise we're worth it.
It's like a homecoming proposal.
We've been bad for a long time. Oh, I've been bad for a long time. Why did you say it like that, you freaking weirdo?
I don't know.
Hey, we've been bad for a long time. So
they say, hey, we'll give you $12.5 million to make us good. After one season.
Pretty good. How can you not be romantic about $12.5 million?
He ends up turning it down, which is crazy. And he said, had I got offered that a few years before that, I would have taken that. But he had recently gone through a divorce, and he's like, I just want to spend more time with my daughter. And he's like, I don't want to move across the country. And so he declined $12.5 million for his daughter, which ended up being a bad decision.
Because the A's moved anyway.
No, so he stayed and he stuck around as the general manager until 2012, and he got promoted eventually to be the executive VP of baseball operations.
Of baseball.
VP of baseball.
Executive VP of baseball.
Yeah, I work at baseball. The VP of baseball.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting an ownership stake in the company, the team. And then the Athletics ended up purchasing the San Jose Earthquakes, which is the Major League Soccer team out there. And they gave him a percentage share of that to do the same thing for them. And then Arsenal, the soccer team, called him because they were like, hey, we saw what you did. Could you do that for us? And
sure.
And so he became a consultant, and they're like, great job. We're going to give you a percentage share of what we've got. And then Dutch Soccer Club did the same thing, and he got a share of that company.
So he just became essentially like a consultant.
Yeah. And then NetSuite in 2007, the software company, put him on the board of directors because they were like, we like the way you think.
Okay.
And then...
So he's very rich.
In 2003, Michael Lewis wrote a book about that 2002 season called Moneyball.
Yeah.
And it kind of outlined the whole method and how that worked. And then that got made into a movie in 2011 starring Brad Pitt. And it has been named a top 100 movie by a lot of lists.
It's a great movie. It's a really good movie.
It is a very good movie.
It's not accurate, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, it's close. There's some inaccuracies, but it's close. It's a great movie, though. So obviously he made money off of the movie and the book. He got a ton of consulting gigs teaching other teams how to do this. And it's very interesting to see, here is a guy who went pro at baseball, didn't have the best baseball career, and he really was emblematic of this issue. He was drafted highly in high school because he was a great high school player, did not pan out in the league.
Sure.
He had this chance. The Athletics were basically like, we're going to downgrade you to the minors. you could develop back into the majors. And so he had this opportunity where it was kind of this life crossroads of, do I try to get back to the majors and extend my baseball playing career, or do I try to make something else out of my life? And he decided to pivot, and that pivot ended up making him so much more money than he would have had if he tried to stay in the league, because he just didn't have the chops. But even if he did, he probably still made more money doing this method than he did
he would have as a pro,
because he got all these ownership stakes in all these teams.
That's pretty crazy.
And so it's just interesting to see situations like this where, sometimes your life goes at a crossroads and you got to make a choice. And sometimes the choice that seems like the better choice is the worst choice.
Okay. Yeah. Which is why this show is ending. I'm pivoting. That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's crazy, the life of the Billy Beane.
Ew. Well, fiddle off then. That's crazy.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode. Please share it. It really helps our show grow. And if you like this episode, you should check out Jose Canseco. It'll help you look at the time in the league when it was the best, when, what's that called? Steroids were just prevalent. And everyone was juicing, and it was just a great time for the MLB. So check that episode out. And if you like this show, again, support us on Patreon. We'll see you next week for another episode of Things Happened Last Night.